Well, welcome back to the Health Capital Group. If you're just tuning in, we've had an incredible first half of the discussion. We covered key insights, including the importance of gut microbiome awareness, understanding that it's the foundation of our overall health and wellness. We also discussed dysbiosis, an imbalance of good and bad bacteria in the gut that can affect digestion and energy levels and overall well-being. And then we was introduced to a simple, easy and convenient solution to feed, to diversify, balance and detoxify the gut microbiome for improved health and wellness, which is our foundation product. It's our unique masterpiece, the P84, which has 84 microbiome friendly ingredients, 15 targeted probiotics, 12 globally sourced botanical blends, and 2 powerful formulas and 1 superior daily system, along with other targeted probiotics like you just saw, the Vitapower B and many more. Additionally, we explored how our daily food choices impact our health. You know, we can take proactive steps towards a healthier, more vibrant life by being more mindful of what we consume. You know, reducing excessive sugars, unhealthy fats, and processed additives. So we would love to hear from you during this part of the show. If you have any questions, comments, or statements, please feel free to reach out on +44 7956 847 290. That's +44 7956 847 290. Okay, so as Mr. Ford says, we've come to my favorite part of the show. It's time for another powerful and inspiring story. You know, I'm truly honored to introduce someone who's made a real impact on me. The first time I heard this gentleman speak was on one of our Zoom calls. I was struck by his raw honesty and transparency. You know, he didn't just tell a story, he opened up and shared from the heart. And you could tell he was speaking from a place of a real experience. The time he shares, there's, humbleness and sincerity that just draws you in. I haven't had the chance to meet him in person yet, but I feel like I already know him. That's how, genuine he is. He knows he's dedicated to growth, to health, and to helping others. To others is something I truly admire. So please help me welcome a man whose story will stay with you, Julius Costa. So over to you, Mr. Ford. I don't know what's going on tonight.
I don't know what's going on either. However, it's a live show and it doesn't matter because we are going to introduce the man of the moment, like you said, Mr. Julius Costa. Mr. Costa, I'm gonna unmute you and or ask you to unmute and welcome you to the show. And yeah, let's hear your voice and let me make sure that you're there. Um, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am, Mr. Ford, Miss Sophia. Thanks for the invite. I really do appreciate it.
Awesome.
And, I never really uh, expect to get a call from London about my testimony, but, I thank God for it. And one thing I have always believed in is being transparent and uh, being open. No false, uh, 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 no false error, no false uh, uh, anything. But I realized years ago that when you are real or you are transparent, folks could learn and benefit from your experience. That being said, I am calling from Brooklyn, New York. I've been living here last year, in July. It's been 50 years since I came to this country. As a matter of fact, my mom showed up. Well, I knew she was coming, and she said, "You have spent 17 years with your father. Now it's my turn. Pack your bags. No passport, no nothing." Within 2 weeks, I was in New York. I arrived in New York, and on leaving the Kennedy Airport, I had my green card, and I don't know what it's called in Europe or England. In Canada, it's called your landed status. They give you a card just like a green card, but it's you're landed in Canada anyway. And I have lived here all that time, and now I am a citizen of this North American state, North American country. So I'm just grateful for all that America has done for me. I came here. I went to high school, which I shouldn't have. I should have gone on straight to college. Uh, but I decided I want to see what this American high school thing is all about. And against sound advice, I decided I want to go back to school here in New York. Go to high school. Did wasted my time, graduated, because all the work that I had done when I was 10 years old, that's what I was doing at age 18 in the 12th grade.
Wow.
So, I came here to go to the Academy of Aeronautics, and lo and behold, I didn't. Stuff life got in the way, and eventually I entered a party lifestyle. I'll get into that a little later. But
Wow.
recently, I was introduced to Love Biome. On When I was introduced, I had several things wrong with me, several health issues. One of them was erectile dysfunction. I couldn't get it up.
Hmm.
And I know many of folks, when I first said that on the Zoom presentation, the line went silent.
Silent.
The very next day, I know many of you have met Dr. T. Dr. T called me and she said, "Oh my God, you don't know what you did." And that. And lo and behold, that the next night, the men came in and was talking about their sexual issues. And I
Yes.
was surprised. It surprised me that on that forum they were willing to talk about it. But
Mhm.
that was my claim to fame. I opened that up and yeah, pat me on the back and whoopty doopty. But the men came in and they started talking. The wives came in and they started talking, looking for help for their husbands. Because you see, us men, especially us men of color, we talk about this subject on the hush hush.
That's right.
We don't, we're not open. We would pat each other on the back and ask, "Yo, what can I?" I'm using the New
Bluepill.
York vernacular or American vernacular. "Yo, what do you have for this and what do you have for that?" And our recommendation is Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra, or go online and waste a ton of money like I have done. I spent thousands of dollars trying to buy these so-called miracle erection products and they didn't work. I even bought the pump that they said, and that, hey, and that's another story for another testimony for a different day. Anyway, I the first thing I noticed and how I really got involved, I was introduced to this thing by a lady, and I think many of you in Europe have met her, Ivy Cumry. And she bugged me and bugged me and bugged me until I got tired of her nagging. I never wanted to shut her down and say, "Listen, stop calling me." I try not to be that disrespectful to people. I always want to leave that door open. So
Yeah.
I left that door open, and eventually I said to her, "Listen, take my card and order me the stuff." I was tired of hearing about the love biome and your gut health and all of this.
Mhm.
Now, I was always an athlete, so nutrition was not something strange to me. Supplements were not something strange to me. But
Okay.
this thing you're telling me about the love biome, I'm not hearing where the nutritional aspect of it for these products is.
Okay.
Anyway, the first 2 weeks, I started, by the second week, I started waking up with erections. Now,
Back up. Back up. Back up. What were you taking? What?
oh, I was, every time I wanted to get sexually active, I would take Viagra because for some reason, somehow my brother has a connection with
Yeah.
that industry and he's been selling it,
Right. Got you.
and he sell it less than what it's worth, especially to family members because one pill over here is like $50.
Right. Got
So
you.
he was selling, you was getting 100 milligrams for $25. So, hey, it's a deal.
Half price. Okay. Okay.
Now, I was using that anytime I needed to get active. But the problem with Viagra is that if you decide to change your mind for whatever reason, you got a problem.
the,
Um,
the on switch is still on.
the on switch is still on, and you got to get some kind of release. Now I know, Miss Sophia, you said I'm raw, and you have given me that impetus to be even more transparent. So here it is now. I'm waking up with these erections. That's the first thing that's happening to me. Next thing I know, after taking these products, you see, the doctors had diagnosed, not one, I went to several to get several different opinions. They told me because I am getting older, that's the reason why I am experiencing pains in my body, glaucoma in my eyes, my knees, the lack of energy, and all of these things was happening in my body. I was achy, and I would go to my doctor, said, "Hey, doc, come on, man, what's happening here?" He says, "Mr. Costa, you are getting older. That's the reason why all of these things are happening," which I refuse to accept. Because you see, I came out of a background. I'm from Guyana, South America. I came out of a background where I was athletic all around. I played soccer, I played cricket, I swam competitively, I raced bicycles, and when I left the country, I left with a black belt in martial arts, all of these things, and I was a field competitor for full contact in the ring.
Mm.
Now here it is. I'm 65, going on 66, and I'm having all these different ailments. What's the problem? But 2 weeks after, I recognized the fact that these products are working. These products are something for me to embrace, because what was happening to me in my teens in the 70s now is happening to me in my mid 60s.
Mm. So the Love Biome products were causing you to have erections at night? That's what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I was waking up. As a matter of fact, the erections was waking me up, and I thought something was wrong with me, because this, it has been so long this has happened. I was waking up with this stuff, and what's the matter? Then I realized, I reflected back on when I was in my teens, and I was doing all of that different athleticism, athletic stuff. Here it is. I'm 65 years old, approaching 66, and this thing is happening to me. Wow. I started telling all the men in my family. Now, the male in my family, I'm from a huge, there are five of us. I have two older brothers, but my cousins, they range in the 80s. I'm talking first cousins. So you could just imagine the second and third. These guys as we say in my country, they're plentiful.
Right.
So here it is now. I'm sharing this thing to everybody now, and everybody wants to get it because of that aspect. So within a short space of time, I started noticing the ailments started disappearing in my body. The aches and pains started disappearing. Within about a month of me taking these products, my energy level returned. Now I'm an electrician. And when someone calls to get a job done, that means that they have the money to pay for it.
Yes.
So when they call to have this job done, means that they want this job done last week. And if you don't show up within short order, they will get someone else.
Yeah.
So by the time I was able to build up the energy to go and to respond to these folks, the job is done. They got someone else to do it. Many a times I have to go after that someone and repair their stuff, because a lot of people claim a lot of different things, but they cannot perform. They take the folks' money and they run. Especially black folks. There is no. That's why we are, as minorities, black people, are losing our foothold in the trades. Folks prefer to call everybody else but us, because we have a bad reputation, and our reputation is that we will take folks' money and head for the hills. Anyway, my energy level started returning. I started realizing that when I get up in the morning, I could keep going up until it's time for me to head back home.
Wow.
And that's another fiasco. When I got to someone's house, I was so embarrassed, because remember, I was an athlete back home. I was an athlete in the 70s.
Yeah.
Now I'm working for someone. I would wait until, and when you're working over here, I don't know the specs over there, but most outlets and stuff, if especially if you're repairing it, they are only but so far off the ground, and you literally have to get on your knees. I would
Yes.
have to pull myself up, wait for that person to leave the room, roll over, and somehow find something to pull myself up. But
Yes.
here it is. I began noticing that, I could just literally from a kneeling position, I could just stand up.
Mm.
The pain in my knees was still there because the doctors had told me that, look, you might need knee replacement,
Oh
which
wow.
it was not a thought that I relished. But the pain was so severe, I was considering it. Now the pains started disappearing. The aches in my body started disappearing. And I was so grateful. I went on, I started shouting the good news of Love Biome from the mountaintop. Within short order, I became a merchant.
Nice.
Then I started working my way up to being a builder.
Nice. Nice.
Now, when I got to a builder, I allowed stuff to get in the way. I allowed life to get in my way instead of staying focused to continue climbing the ladder. So for me to become my next step was to become a leader.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to my testimony, I
Yeah.
started noticing the pain, the knee pain started disappearing. Now, before the pandemic, I was in the gym, and because of the knee pains during the pandemic, I guess is all the weight I gained.
Mhm.
You know, when the gyms opened back up, it was the last thing on my mind to get
Yeah.
back in there because I said, you know what, I'm going to get on the treadmill, I'm going to get on this machine, elliptical machine, whatever, and be enduring this pain. No, I put that on the back burner. Anyway, the pains started disappearing.
Mm.
My eyes, I was slated. My ophthalmologist said, go get your eyes, go to the optical surgeon and, set up a date to have the lens in my eyes taken out because I had glaucoma. I said the word had, the operative word in past tense.
Yes.
I was diagnosed with glaucoma in both eyes.
Okay.
As of 2 weeks ago, I went back to my ophthalmologist. I said, I was passing, I stopped in. Could you check my eyes? And he did me the favor. And he checked my eyes. I said, how are my eyes? He said, your eyes are normal. He didn't have to tell me this because I needed my glasses to read fine print. And after a while, I realized that I could read fine print. And I attribute all of that, first of all, to God, and secondly, to the Love Biome products, which are excellent products. You see, folks, I take on a daily basis. I take, well, now is a uh, P1 and P2, plus I take the B, the I, and when I am working, I take the X early in the morning. If I take it during the day, let's say I take it after 12 o'clock, there is no sleep for me at night. So I take it early in the morning, and my energy level is there throughout the day. It is sustained. So, folks, I'm here to tell you that these products have revolutionized my life. I no longer needed the glaucoma surgery. I no longer need Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, or whatever else, whatever other pills that's out there. I no longer need it. I could function when I need to, when I want to. you know. So I am in an overall better health at approaching 68 years old than when I was in my mid 50s. I could only go back, but so far I can't go back to 70s. I wouldn't be able to compare the two. Most people, especially in our age group, would not be able to compare the two. I have introduced these products to folks, and they are recovering from their sugar diabetes. They are recovering from their high blood pressure, chronic high blood pressure, and a whole host of other ailments that Mr. Ford mentioned that these products could help you with. So I am grateful to the company Love Biome. I thank God for them. I thank God for the product that they have formulated. And I am in a better place now. Before I would tell my kids, I said, look, by age 72 I want to be out of here, and they all would look at me teary-eyed. But Dad, why would you do that? My younger son, he never called me Dad, he always called me Pops. But Pops, why would you say that?
72, you want to be out of here, as in like you want to die?
I want to die. Why? Because I did not want to be a burden to anyone.
Wow.
But now,
feeling well?
Excuse me?
Is that because you weren't feeling well that you were saying that?
Well, I've always said it because I've seen people in their upper 60s and 70s, and they always had ailments. They always needed help to get around. Their kids would get frustrated with them, and let's be for real. As much as we love our parents, after a while, the demand, the attention that they would need, ever so often, I've seen people who love their parents would lose it with them because of that added responsibility.
Yes, I understand.
So we would look, we would stand back and look at some, look how they're treating their parents. But listen, walk a mile in their shoes.
Wow. I'm
And
going
you, just
to
go
come
ahead,
back.
sir.
I'm going to come back to this, but as I'm listening to you, I'm very curious, and I'm sure the listeners are curious as well. Break down for us which products you were taking or are taking, and how you take them. So you've mentioned, for example, the P1 and P2, P84. You mentioned B, you mentioned I, and you've mentioned the X. So, and I imagine that before P84, you were probably taking the Daily 3, right? Because the P84 has more recently been launched. But break down for us what it is that you've been taking that's, for example, allowed you to release the pain and so on. What's allowed you to not have the eye operation? What are you taking and how are you taking it? Your daily routine, if you like, if that's okay.
I first started with the Daily 3, and like everything else, you start good, but then within short order, I was missing. I was wondering, did I take the detox at night? Did I take the balance in the morning? So what I would do, I would mix both of them and take them. Now I know these products you could mix and match them, because they are all plant based, and because there are no synthetic ingredients in it, there will not be any synthetic reaction in my body. And I've also known that whatsoever the body needs from the fruits from the garden, as far as nutrients, if there is any such thing as an over amount of one particular nutrients, the body would take what it needs and would get rid of eliminate the rest.
Yes.
So I wasn't worried about that. But what I was consistent with was the powder. I made sure every day that I took that. Now I do know that the P1 and 2 is not yet available in Europe, in England,
Oh, we have it now.
Oh, you have it now.
Yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful.
On our next subscription, we're going to be able to order it. So yeah, it's coming. It's here.
What I appreciate about the 1 and 2 is that I get up in the morning. I usually get up about maybe 5:30 to 6 to go to use the bathroom. And when I get up, I would clean my mouth out, brush my teeth and whatever. And on my way back to my bedroom, I'm in what is called a railroad apartment, which is it's long. It's not wide. It's
Gotcha.
long.
Yeah.
I'm in the front. My bathroom is in the back. So on my way back, I would mix the 1 and 2 in 16 ounces of water, and I would drink it down and head back to bed.
All right.
That is if I'm not doing anything for that day.
Yes.
Very, very convenient. I love the simplicity of it. And and I believe because of the formulation of the 1 and 2, my mental acuity has improved and it's going back to where it used to be. I always used to brag and boast about my photographic memory. I'm getting back there because I was talking to an older friend of mine who came back up from Guyana to do his taxes and whatnot, and he usually comes around March month, and we were all talking, and he was surprised. He said, "Man, your memory is so good. You are remembering everything." I said, "Yes, I am." I said, "This is a recent development."
Wow. 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 My brain goes, that's anti-inflammatory effects going on right there.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. So P84 is working, and I'm just going to sort of share with the listeners why, for example, it's really good to take it like first thing. So essentially, our microbiologist is, if you take it early in the morning, the acidity levels in your gut, if you like, are at its lowest. So they want you to take it when the environment is less harsh in the gut, basically, for the P84 to get to where it needs to get to. So that's why they suggest taking it early in the morning. So hearing you say you literally get up and then 5:36 and then go back to bed, absolutely perfect. No wonder why it's working for you so well. Oh, that's really, really good. Okay, so the P84, you start your day with the P84. Talk to us about the connection between. So what's allowed? I know the answer, but what's allowed you not to have, for example, the eye operation for your glaucoma to have subsided? And you also mentioned a number of your friends and colleagues are reversing diabetes. What product is allowing that to happen?
Well, the products that I've recommended before, the ones that were available, the flagship products were the Daily 3. And that is what I started out with. Then I incorporated the B and the I. I was there for both unveiling. I was there for the launch of both products. Also, I was also there in Utah for the launch of the X and the hydration.
Yes.
So I was there for that. And in Utah, I met Yes You Can Val. I met Miss Pamela.
Yes.
Uh,
Williams Doily. Yes.
Doily. Yes, I met those folks, and we had, we just met, and we were kicking it, laughing and joking, and within short order we were like running, teasing each other and whatever. But it was a beautiful, beautiful experience, and I was happy to meet the London folks. I met a few other folks from London, but they had to leave, I think, it very quickly to get a flight back into London. So I don't know who. I don't know, Mr. Ford, if you were there in Utah or.
Now that you're actually speaking, right? there, I think you were the gentleman. So Valencia Pamphile had Valencia and Dr. Tamia had a leadership in one of the rooms that in the
In
apartment.
Valencia's Pamphile room, yes.
Yes, and you are so you must be the gentleman that spoke about, because you were the first guy that I heard speaking about erectile dysfunction and strong erections as a result of the product. You pretty much spoke near to last, right?
Right, right. They asked me to get up last, right. I'm
Yes.
not near to last, right. You're right.
Yeah. And then when we were in the last day, the when there was, we were having food and so on. I think you were at a table and I think we were around you and you were talking again about the same thing. And I think myself, Valencia, Dr. Tamia, it's you, man. It's you, Julius.
Yes. Then we met.
Okay.
Are you that
Yes.
tall
Yes.
gentleman that was there? I think you went up on the stage for an award or something.
Yes. Tall, dark, braided. I was in one.
Yes. Tall, dark, and handsome dude. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. That's me.
Well, now, folks on the radio, you see, he embraced the tall, dark, and handsome. So yes,
Okay. Well, even better. Now I know. I definitely know who I'm talking to now.
yeah,
Absolutely amazing. Oh man.
absolutely.
Okay. Good to hear from you, my brother. Okay. So yeah, keep telling the people about Phytopower B and I. The B and the I, really powerful. Um, yeah, really powerful. If anyone didn't get it from the presentation, I mean the Phytopower I not only speaks to the immune system, but it has some very specific ingredients in there that really speak to anti-inflammatory effects. When you get into the actual ingredients, your curcumin, for example, really helpful with anti-inflammatory. And then the Phytopower B, sugar wreaks havoc in the body. And so when we say too much sugar in the eye, glaucoma, too much sugar in the brain, ADHD, we're not just saying it for effect and fun. It's real. And so when you're hearing Julia speak to not having to go and have that particular eye operation, or no longer needing, glasses, for example, or, having better eyesight, quote unquote, as a result of the combination of the B and the I, then there's no surprises there. But yeah, Julius, continue, man, because this is really powerful stuff. Really powerful stuff.
Yes, on the day of my eye operation, the surgeon, he wanted $2,500. He had shown me the lens, and I picked the top lens, which was for $2,500. What he was gonna do is take out the lens that I was born with and put in the artificial lens, which would have made me see a whole lot clearer. But when I told some of my friends, the folks that I hang out with, them knuckleheads, they said, "Okay, so tell us when you get the surgery for us to come and tap you in the back of your head for your eyeball to pop out."
That's not funny.
So, so I'm like, you know what? No,
Oh,
that was not the reason why I didn't do the surgery. My reasoning was, for some folks would always claim that a certain surgical procedure worked for them excellently, and others with the same doctor and the same procedure would be complaining that it did not work. And I did not want that to be happening with me and my eyes, because we were only born with two of them. And if I had to wear glasses or whatever the situation is, them Coca-Cola glasses like some folks wear, if I had to get to that point, I was willing to do so. But the day of the surgery, I was so apprehensive that I decided, you know what? Mm-mm. I called maybe about 2 hours before the surgery. I called and I canceled. I said, let's delay the surgery,
yeah.
because I didn't want it to happen. But I
Nice.
thank God that I did not, because after a while, I started seeing better and better and better, and now I am actually uh, driving. I'm actually doing and reading the fine prints without glasses.
Wow.
That's a marked improvement as to what was going on with me. So yes, these products, they do work. I cannot attest to the fact of what happened with internally,
Yes.
but I can do say I can see now when I couldn't see before.
Mm.
And I literally do not need glasses. The only reason why I wear glasses right now, to be honest with you, is because I've been wearing glasses since I was 9 years old.
Right.
And
Right.
and now when I look in the mirror and I look at myself without glasses, it has become a part of my appearance. That's why you know, I feel as though, I've seen women, if they don't have the earrings in and stuff like
Mm.
that, it feel as though they're not dressed.
Yes.
Or some brothers, if they don't have their chains on and whatever, they feel as though their attire is not complete. That's
Yes.
with me and glasses.
Wow.
So it's not something that I'm wearing actually because I need my vision corrected. It is just that, hey, I'm used to seeing myself in it.
Yeah.
Not only me, but the people around me, they're used to seeing me in glasses. So, hey, listen.
That's actually quite amazing. Actually, that's really really interesting. It's like no, I think you said it. It's like having your own little. Oh, there's a word I'm looking for. Not costume. That's not what I'm looking for. But yeah. Like you said, it's almost like you don't feel like yourself without it. I almost see, like Clark Kent, Superman, putting on his glasses. It's
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that type of thing. Yep.
yeah. No, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Um, I'm really hoping that everyone that's listening is really paying attention to the detail, right? Because it's easy for me to sit down here and listen to things like you no longer having the difficulty getting up when you're kneeling down on a job. You no longer feeling pain. In the bones and that type of thing. You having better eyesight. You avoiding what could have been a not so successful eye operation. All of these things, um, I mean, personally, they're major to me. Because when I go back to the basics of what my mom used to say to me, prevention is better than cure. And I know there are people that have avoided or acted late on embracing these type of natural products and even the Love Biome products themselves, and now they're finding themselves, in conditions. I mean, I probably shouldn't say it on the radio, but I lost someone really, really dear. That we don't know now whether these products will have helped, but we certainly know now, based upon what has been said in the UK by the Royal School of Medicine, that every person that's got cancer, for example, should be taking probiotics because, you know, the immune system gets so compromised when you're going through chemotherapy, when you're taking antibiotics, that having the probiotics, especially the best in class quality ones that we have, naturally will help the body to rebuild itself. When you don't have that, there's almost like no chance. And so I guess what I'm trying to say to everyone is, please take this information seriously. And if you've got great health right now, treat the P84 system as you're maintaining that. If you have less than optimal health, use the P84 to give yourself the best opportunity to get back to optimal health. I was explaining to someone the other day that if you compare, for example, just as an example, an elite athlete eats something. So let's just say they're given 2,000 calories of food to eat, and they're able to convert through excellent nutrient absorption, 90% of that, let's just say. But then you have someone who's not been taking care of their gut. They've been given that same 2,000 calories in the form of food to ingest, but yet because of their bad gut microbiome and their inefficient ability to absorb nutrients, they only get 50 to 60% of the nutrients and the calories that are available. And so that's a very simple example, but it's a real example, because we may think we're eating healthily, we may think that we're taking the best of the best, but if our gut microbiome isn't the best of the best, you're not going to get the best from the best of the best. And what we're doing, I believe, is we're giving ourselves the best opportunity to enjoy the best of the best from what we're eating, what we're drinking, and so on, the lifestyle that we're leading by taking care of our gut microbiome. So you have clearly, Julius, decided to, based on what I've heard, you've decided to share the products with others. You mentioned that, you know, there's been individuals that reverse diabetes and also high blood pressure. Do you want to speak to that just for a quick moment, in terms of, you know, the impact that this is having on people that you know?
Yes. I have introduced this stuff to many folks, and they had chronic, well, they were insulin users. They were about to be given the insulin. They were on tablets. These are the diabetic folks that I've introduced these things to.
Yeah.
And now they're saying that they literally does not need the diabetic medication, much less the insulin, because that's an advanced stage.
Mm.
So they don't need it anymore because apparently, again, I'm not a medical doctor or a naturopathic. Apparently their pancreas is creating the insulin that the body needs to control the sugar content in their body. So uh, that's one. And I've I've introduced this stuff to who they've been using blood pressure medication for years, and instead of it getting better, it kept getting higher and higher, and they would go back to the doctor. The doctor would increase the dosage, but it still was not helping. I have confronted people and asked them, "Do you know the definition of insanity?"
Wow.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Okay. You keep going to the doctor. You're telling me now that you believe in the doctor and what they do. I said, no problem. I have no problem with the doctors. But you keep going back to the doctors and you're telling me now that you don't want to give these things a try. But you keep going back to the doctors. Where is that getting you? But you could clearly see that your health, instead of instead of your health getting better, it's getting increasingly worse. So now I'm telling you, I'm presenting something to you, and you're telling me no, you don't want no part, and you have to go back to your doctor. I have I don't know what's the Haitian community like in Europe, or I know they are plentiful in France, but I don't know what they are in London. My 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 former barber, he my sister called because she goes there and get a clean cut. She has a round head, so she can rock that. She goes there and get a clean cut. I'd introduce her to him, and she calls me up one day. She said, "Oh, you know," and his name is Eve. She said, "Eve is looking for you." She said, "He haven't heard from you in a while. What's going on?" Anyway, I promised I would stop by, and I did. I went and I seen him, and this guy was and probably is in bad worse shape now, and because I introduced the stuff to him, he started taking the products, started seeing improvement in his health. Then one day I went stop by his shop and I said, "Eve, what's going on?" He said, "Are you still taking the products?" He said, "No." he's going to go and ask his doctor about it. He went and he asked his doctor about the products, if he should take them, and his doctor told him no.
Oh wow.
That's why I said by now his health probably has deteriorated.
Wow. Wow.
So folks are coming off of their blood pressure medication. Folks are coming off of their diabetic medication. Now, I lost my oldest sister going on 3 years ago to cancer. She was one of the top nurses in, I would say, in New York. The only nurse that I know of that was given her own private office in one of the largest hospitals in New York. It's called Bellevue.
Yeah.
She had to validate nurses. The nurses had to go through her scrutiny for them to get a job in that hospital.
Right.
She was sold on the medical profession. My brother, who we call the herbalist, the same one I mentioned that sells Viagra,
Yeah.
he was sent back home to get bush from the country and make all kind of concoctions for people.
Yeah.
He would call me up. He said, "Bro, um, what can we do to get her to get off these medications?" I said, our sister, she has made up her mind. She's gonna go with whatever her mind says. She did not turn to holistic, the holistic aspect of medicine until her last days, and by then it was too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
By then it was too late. She embraced the medication. She embraced the pharmaceutical industry. So what can we tell you? If I may add, Mr. Ford, that uh, uh, many people hearing us, they have this problem. They would talk to people, and folks would reject them.
Mm.
In one of the presentation, I believe it was in Florida of last year,
Yeah.
they spoke about the drip system. Just keep talking. Just keep talking. Don't get discouraged by somebody saying no to you, or they might even insult you.
Yeah.
But you just keep doing. Here is something that would help them, and regardless of how many objections they raise, just stay the course. Stay the
Yeah.
course. As Dr. Tamia taught in one of her teachings, she said it's not personal.
Correct. Correct. Never personal.
It's never personal. So regardless of how they act, and especially family members, they're the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I've always used this thing with Jesus, even on the after party, and I know you guys have heard from Sai and Ricardo, Dr. John's brother. Uh, there's an after party, and it goes on sometime for 3-4 hours after, and just folks just enjoying themselves, sharing information.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Jesus, when he went back to Nazareth, you know, here it is. He left them for a while. Then he came back and he's telling them, "Here, I'm the Son of God, y'all. Listen to me. I'm gonna heal you. I could heal you, and I could do this, that, and the third." The Bible says that he was not welcome. Not that he was not welcome. He was not appreciated.
Mm.
Very few miracles he could have done because of this thing called familiarity.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
It breeds contempt. And when people are they're used to you, they know you from way back when. So now you're telling them that, hey, here's a product that can help you. No, I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear it.
Mm.
They would prefer to hear it from someone else. So what you do and what I have done, I have gotten people involved in the conversation. Listen, I would like you to talk
Mm-hmm.
to X, Y, and Z about these products.
Yes.
And I've
Yes.
done it and I've seen results. So, folks, when people shut the door in your face, keep on knocking,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
on talking. Pastor John said something that was very, very influential with me. As open and transparent as you see I am, I had to work on my patience
Mm.
because you come to me with something stupid and I'll shut you down in a nanosecond. Now,
Mm.
I'm an electronic engineer. Also, I got a degree in electronics.
Mm.
What good it served me because by the time I graduated, the industry had what I was taught and graduated with was old news. The bottom
Yes.
line.
Yes. Yes.
And when they wanted to give me, for me to become an intern, chump change, I was already making a certain amount and I couldn't go back. I couldn't go backwards in my finances. I had a young family and this and that. I had house, new mortgages, mortgage, car, new car notes and all this. And you're telling me I must go back there after spending all this money in school? So no, I
Mm.
have the title, but I never really became, I never really got active in that industry.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying, folks, do not, do not get discouraged when people shut the door in your face.
Yeah.
Keep
Powerful.
knocking, keep moving. Dr. John said that he would speak to a person 50 times before they say yes. I'm like, what? And here it is by the time, by the second or the third time, I'm ready to rip your head off. I need to change my attitude.
Mm. Yeah.
Because you come to me, you would come to me with any kind of nonsense. Even these days, I would bite my tongue and shake my head and say, "What? Good Lord, you got to help me with this one."
Hmm. Yeah.
But patience, keep putting one foot in front of the other on a daily basis, and you get to your destination.
Awesome.
If I may, if you give me 1 minute, I'll give you this quick testimony.
Please do. Please do. Please
My
do.
first time heading to Canada, when I came to this country, my mom told me how uh, beautiful Canada is, and I wanted to go to Canada. Oh man, she laid it out, and I wanted to go to Canada so bad that one night they had a bus ride to Canada, and it's an 8 hour no, on the bus it's 12 hours, 12 hour journey. I stayed up all night counting the mile markers. 500 miles. I don't know what you guys you could transfer that into kilometers, and uh, uh, 500 miles to Canada.
Mm. 800 kilometers. Yeah.
Uh, five 499, and I am counting the mile marker every step of the way until I fell asleep in that bus. That journey seemed to have taken forever.
Hmm. Oh.
What I've learned from that experience, which I'm applying to this job, this thing here, I
Hmm.
have the destination.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to put, as long as I keep putting one foot in front of the next, I will eventually get to that destination, regardless of who is doing 80, 90 miles an hour on the highway.
Hmm.
All I have to do is keep, let's say I'm driving now. All I have to do is drive the speed limit, which is 55 miles an hour,
Yeah.
or sometimes 60. Very rarely you see it 75.
Hmm.
And eventually I will get there. No stress, no muss. But if I focus on my destination and I keep that vehicle constant on whatever I so choose as my speed limit, And usually I'm in the 90s. I used to be running at, especially at night. You catch me at 90 miles an hour and so on and so forth. But regardless of whatever you have chosen, you will get to that destination. Just keep putting one foot in front of the next, and you will eventually get there.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Wow, that's that's inspirational. And that really speaks to the Love Biome community in general around sharing. For me, sharing is caring. There are billions of people that are waiting to hear our message. Um, you know, we have to be motivated by some future, um, experience that we want to make real. And like you say, one step, one step, one step, one step, one step. As I say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So absolutely brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, all I can say is, like I said before, I really hope that what you've heard has resonated. We never say that we cure. We can't say that we cure, but what we can say are that the results that are being experienced as a result of this microbiome-centered approach to improved health and wellness will impress, does impress, continues to impress. And whether individuals believe it or not, that's up to them. But one thing we can say categorically, we know that we are up against it in relation to people's belief around the pharmaceutical industry. They have created their own curriculum based upon, oil derivatives. Do your research, look into how the pharmaceutical curriculum was created at the expense of a more naturopathic approach. It's been a systematic commercialization that puts profits over people. There's no side effects of our products. There's pretty much side effects with pretty much every single drug you choose to take. And so the choice is going to be down to yourself, whether you allow yourself the opportunity to enjoy a more holistic approach alongside your medication until you can come off. We don't say stop your medication. We simply say enjoy, taking care of your gut microbiome. It can enhance the effectiveness of your medication. And over a period of time, the nature takes over. So give yourself the best opportunity to work with nature. Give yourself the best opportunity to sample our products. Give yourself the best opportunity to experience what we're experiencing as part of the Love Biome community, which is incredible results as a result of taking care of our gut microbiome. Julius, I really want to say thank you so much for.
Oh, you're much welcome. You're much welcome.
Yeah, making
Thanks
yourself
for allowing me to share.
No, it's been a pleasure, and we will come back for a part 2 because there's a component that we didn't speak about today, which I definitely want to speak about it, but in isolation, in and around sugar and the Fighter Power B and the conversation that we had a little earlier. So with that being said, thank you once again, Julius. Sophia Johnson, I'm going to hand over to you. I know you're smiling broadly. And thank you, listeners, for being with us. And Julius, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you again in Utah or wherever we meet again.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Excellent, sir. Thank you so much.
It's Seattle, Mr. Ford. That's the
Seattle,
next one.
Yeah, Seattle. That's right.
August. Well. You're right. I am smiling. Thank you, Julius. Well, guys, that brings us to the end of the show once again. Mr. Ford, I want to say thank you again for a powerful, informative show. As I always say every week, I always learn something new with this show. And a massive, massive, massive thank you. And thank you for accepting the offer to share your testimony, Julius Costa. Like I said, guys, this man, he keeps it real 100 and very transparent. And that's what stood out for me when I first heard him. A huge thank you. Hold on.
Yeah, welcome, Ms. Sophia. Thanks for the invite. And glad I was able, hopefully, my testimony helped someone in their journey to better health and better wealth.
Yes, I've had a text from Chelsea. She said, "Brilliant, Julius. Always love his transparency, honesty, and just his overall straight deliverance. Thank you for your testimony." So that's Chelsea from the UK. That's to you, Julius. Thank you, Chelsea. And a huge thank you to all our listeners for tuning in and being part of this exciting journey, because without you, we would not have this show. Don't forget to join us next week, same time, for more insight about the gut health, gut wealth, and your gut microbiome.